Dame, happy to have you back, my guy.
What's happening? I appreciate y'all pulling up. Pause.
Had to pull up, man. But I want to ask you, right now we're doing this interview in Wyoming. What made you choose to get a place out here?
Well, I'm at the Dusco Ranch, and honestly, initially, um, we were working with Kanye, and we bought the ranch so that my environment could be a little more comfortable, because he had his own environment. He got 4,000 acres, and I don't mean to tell all his business, but I got 25. You know what I mean? But it was more so that I could work in an environment that was conducive to what I like. And then we looked at it more of an investment, a family, because this is my family's property. And we looked at it more of an investment also because we bought it and then we gutted it, flipped it. And we were like, if we don't like it, we'll just sell it and invest it in something else. And ultimately what happened was he, moved out of Wyoming, or he hasn't really been going back, and he knocked down all the buildings. So we were like, it, we'll just keep it for a little while. And again, my family loved the serenity. The only issue is um, like it's only good for me in the summertime, about 3 weeks out the year. And again, it was meant to be an investment for the family office, and it's hard. You can only like rent it out seasonally. So we were like, more than likely we're gonna just, you know, sell this and look at it as a business, and then go invest in a farm that we could do more things with, and then flip that. But real estate for the family office is a vertical for sure.
You like being out there?
It's called I love it. It's called the Dusco Ranch. You know, I call it like white people really. And it's a juxtaposition because me being from like generations now of having a certain amount of money and doing and living a certain way, it's almost like, when somebody white moves into a black neighborhood and everyone's like, oh, and that white person maybe will look at the environment and be like, it could be better based on people's mentality. I'm like a black man that has a ranch out here, and everyone out here is white. So everyone that works on the ranch, ultimately that works for me, is white. So I'm like the black guy in a white town, and I'm like, you know, it's just a different perspective when you're looked at as how, you know, it's like a juxtaposition to me. A lot of situations happen, like having to kill a rattlesnake. Like Rocky's cousin was out here and the kids were walking and he had to come out and hit the rattlesnake. It'd be bears out here. Like we got a river, my son Dusko, and I have it documented. He caught his first fish with his uncle in his own river, you know, and that was priceless to me. But again, for me, it's beautiful, but it's almost like white people Caribbean because it's cold and it's beautiful. But I like to be in warm places, and it's also hard to get out here. You got to take two planes. So when we first bought the ranch, we were coming from LA and we were taking private jets. We were working with Kanye, and then we were taking tour buses. But when we moved to Florida, we like, oh, you got to take two flights out here. You got to pay for two flights. So it became hard to have artists come out here because also my intention was to work out here as well. So, you know, again, I've got a good dose of it. We've been here for about 5 years. Like we skipped a year, but also like having a crib that you have when you have a lot different cribs, you have to pay as if you live in those cribs all year round. So it's like paying for a bunch of cribs that you don't live in and that you don't get to use. So at some point, it doesn't become the best investment for the family office, and we'll probably sell it and do another farm. That's what I want to do, is a farm now. That's what I'm gonna do, a farm with the studio. But again, it's just a vertical of the family office. But it is beautiful out here, but it's dangerous. Like the cows, like bison, are like built like dinosaurs. Pause. And everyone out here is like a cowboy. So again, 5 years ago, we got the ranch, and I'm wearing what I wear on a ranch. I wouldn't dress like this for fashion, but it did seem like after we started to be on the ranch that I saw country music from our culture and people starting like Louis Vuitton to start to, you know, you know, dress cowboy style. But I wouldn't dress like this unless I'm on my own ranch. And there's also different like style, like it's different protocol and etiquette. So like before when he pulled up, I was whacking the weeds. I had on the American cowboy hat. But now that we're doing an interview and I'm clean and all that, I got on a Stetson. But if I had on like a black hat in the winter, in the summer, it's wrong protocol. You're not supposed, it's like protocol of, so there's a whole protocol out here that people take pride in. So like, me being, cause I'm like up the block, I'm basically on Yellowstone. So me watching Yellowstone from Yellowstone and understanding all the protocol. And then if I see people out in the clubs in the wrong season, me just knowing the culture, I'd be like, damn, I wish they could understand like it's the wrong weather for that. Like they don't know that real cowboys be laughing at them. Pause. But I like to live it for real. So you won't see me doing this as a fashion. This isn't like a fashion statement. I wear a cowboy hat when I'm on my ranch. But other than that, you ain't gonna see that. I'm not doing that for style or none of that. But if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna look good doing it.
When you out there away from everyone, just you and your family, what does that do to you mentally?
Yeah, like, everyone is basically like a borough away. Silence and only hearing the river is priceless. Being able to focus on my family and only my family is priceless. You know, and that to me is like the ultimate wealth is being able to control your environment, to be around people when you feel like being around people. And me, I don't really in this moment in my life, and I think being age appropriate at 54, I don't really feel like being around anyone but my family and the people that I love. And that's all I work for is my family and the people that I love. And that's really all I care about. That's all I care about, how they feel about me. All I care about is their perspective and how they feel. And it doesn't matter what the rest of the world is ever saying, because this is my heaven. And the thing about heaven and hell is it could be contagious. So you could be in heaven and somebody could come around you that perspective wise looks at life as hell, and all of a sudden you in hell. And I don't want nobody to turn my heaven into hell based on their perspective on life. So I keep my heaven as heaven. You're not going to influence my environment with your perspective. You understand what I'm saying? So I've been here with people and I'm in heaven. I'm like, yo, this is great. And they're basically in hell. They're miserable. And I'll be like, this is making me feel like I'm in your world and you're not in mine. So you have to change your perspective or you got to go because I'm in heaven right now. You understand what I'm saying? This is my version. So like to me, what people showcase and buy and spend their money on is usually their ego. And this is like my ego, being able to look at mountains and have rivers and have, generational wealth. A car's not my ego. Jewelry's not my ego. The way my family lives is my ego. You understand what I'm saying? So I can actually tell a person, like when I see how they're spending money, and again, it's a juxtaposition because it's been like generations of having a certain kind of wealth. And I could tell what like phase of wealth they're in. Like, oh, they must have just got money. I could tell by what they're spending on what their values are and how long they've had it. So for me, I could literally tell to me new money and old money, or people that are emulating new money, or people that are emulating generational wealth, which is all that counts to me. Because it doesn't matter how rich I am. If you look at my network, I'm always going to be broke. But if you look at but how I see the value is how rich your family is. It's how rich is your family office. How rich, it's not how rich you are. It's how rich your family is. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to have no money. My family's supposed to have money. I'm the man. I believe in God. I look at God and what he sacrificed, even his kids, so the rest of the world could be all right. So me and this sacrifice for my family is nothing compared to what God has done. So if I see somebody that's proud of a chain, that's proud of a car, especially at a certain age, I'm like, they must not have caught that lick yet. I'm seeing people change that I knew that had a certain amount of money and acted a certain way. And now that they have certain opportunities and what I call jobs, they've changed their whole perspective on how they move. And I'm like, oh, he must have just got, like, if I see somebody that's like, oh, I'm on vacation and they're so proud to be on vacation, or they're so proud to have a car. I went through that phase in my life at 19, at 16. But seeing people go through that phase at 50, it bugs me out. And to see how they move culturally and how they'll sacrifice their culture for money, their integrity, how they'll show up every single day for a check to talk about people, it just wasn't how I envisioned my life. And that's not what you'll be seeing me doing. So if you notice, I do it when people were like attacking me verbally and trying to cause a narrative. I did a show and it made a lot of money for the company, but I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. I'm not talking for money unless I feel like it. I went on a little tangent there, but I do that.
Nah, it's all good. Speak your mind, man. But speaking of that, right? Money and generational wealth. The news that broke that you was in debt by 800K and you had to give up your assets. Can you speak on that? Like, is that true or no?
Well, I think what people are not understanding is, again, I run my family office. I don't own it. My family owns it. And since 2015, I haven't done anything other than run my family's office. And like 2019, I just started to go to schools with the OSG and help Raquel sell the books that she's written that get kids' cognitive skills up, which no one talks about for some reason. And I don't have too much in my name. So the things that are in my name are companies that I don't know that even exist, that don't make money. They're from years ago. And yeah, it's an $800. I want you to put this in perspective. And I'm just going to say allegedly because I don't feel like getting sued again. But this lawyer, Chris Brown, not the singer, has taken, I've been to trial with him on at least 4 different cases, but all over the country with different people testifying on different cases, but they all seem to work together allegedly. And in 4 cases, I've lost, or judgment wise, is 800 grand. Now, if you look at other people that are on trial, their legal fees are like $1 million a month. When they have to settle out, they settle out for 30 million and better. For 4 trials and a lawyer moving around trying to sue me, and again, legal fees. So you got to think about what that legal lawyer that's suing me, how much time he's spending. For him to only win $800,000 is a W in anybody that's a real businessman's world. And I'm like, all right, if you won, and what I lost on was defamation. So the cases were, one, and again, I'm gonna say allegedly just in case I say anything wrong, but I directed a movie for a favor for a woman called E.W. Brooks in North Carolina, and I directed it, and I went, sat through the edit, and I did it for equity. I said, I'll do you a favor. You can't afford to pay me. Your budget isn't even what I would get paid. But what I'll do, because you're being an entrepreneur, is I'll direct the movie. I'll use my cameras. I'll use my resources and produce it, and then we'll bust it down. When we finished it, she was actually allegedly aggressive about me promoting the movie, which I did. But once I did that, um, I got a lawsuit for copyright infringement. Now, let me tell you where the lawsuit came from. So I did the same situation, and what's this dude's name? Tony White. Tony White, who was introduced to me by Dr. What's that dude's name? Damn, I forgot his name just now. But anyway, I was introduced to him and he asked me to direct a movie. And I'm like, you can't pay me. What's the budget? He said $250. So I said, I'll direct it, use my resources, produce it, my cameras, and we'll bust it down. Or we'll deal with whatever percentage it is. While I'm on the movie set, and I have footage of the whole me directing the whole movie. While I'm on the movie set, I realize that 250 is not being spent and that, he's lying. But because I've used all my resources, I'll pay for the rest of the movie. Another party steps in, Muddy Waters, and they say, well, he lied to me too, but let me pay for the edit so I can stay in. Pause. So we edited. I edited from my house for a year. And we started a new movie and we had a disagreement about the new movie. So what he did was had the editor send him the edit, and behind my back, he went and copyrighted it. And then they started to put new directors on it or say that other people directed it, allegedly, which is this guy, Josh, and whoever, who never directed. He was like my. Either way, they were starting to promote the movie. I called my lawyer and I'm like, yo, handle that. But in the meantime, thinking there's freedom of speech, I say some things. My man Bootsy tells me something that somebody, some wrong information, and I posted it up and I get a defamation charge as well as a copyright infringement. But they do it in New York, even though it happened in LA. So this same lawyer goes and solicits, I think, and I'm going to say allegedly, goes and gets E.W. Brooks, who I don't recall having such problems with. But then they give me, he represents her for this lawsuit and also the other lawsuit. And they do it all in New York, which means I got to fly all the witnesses to New York. You understand what I'm saying? So again, that was one of the lawsuits. And then another lawsuit from again, allegedly, this woman that he took that accused me of sexual, like a sexual thing. I go through a whole trial. And again, she wins 15,000 on defamation and loses on everything else. So he's working really hard to collect money. And I'm like, go ahead. When they put the thing to auction, the government, because also I owe the government money, and I'm not going to say it's not my fault, but I did have an accountant that was supposed to be handling that, and I paid them to do it. I had that kind of income coming in, but he didn't pay my taxes correctly, so I had to deal with that. So the government stepped in like, you can't get that 800,000 before he owes us $20 million. So either way, anything that goes to auction, the government comes in and gets it anyway. And this lawyer knows this, but he still continues to do that. But the stuff they're chasing, or the stuff that what happened is I said, yeah, I own these companies. I just don't get any income from them. But they haven't been put to auction yet, but they could be. But you got to realize something. I learned this from 50 Cent. If you have a lawsuit, you could just file. It goes away. It's not a big deal. Donald Trump did it 6 times. So if I really felt that kind of pressure, and I think I already told the court, I'm a file. So you could go through all the motion and say all these things and sell things that don't have value, but I'm still file. It's just going to be a lot of work. So what I'm curious to see is what that lawyer is telling his partners, because he just spent 10 years and 800,000 isn't even legal fees for 4 trials. And how is that a loss to me? So instead of people celebrating the genius of what's going on, they look at it a different way. But at the end of the day, people celebrating my bills is, to me, an honor. That people are worried about. I have such an expectation for years of having such an enormous amount of wealth that if, let's say, a judgment doesn't get paid or taxes, someone thinks that reflects on my personal business acumen or how I've mismanaged money. But to me, any dude, regardless, that talks about another man's pockets is gay. Because there's no reason for a man to be worried about another man's pockets unless he owes them money. A woman I can understand because they want to know how they're going to be taken care of. But I've always said it, a man worried about another man's bills and pockets, it's like worrying about what's behind that man's zipper. So I'm not answering really any man asking me about my bread because I consider it not the most masculine thing. Even if it's in the algorithm, it's still to me not masculine. Number two, a breaking game dash arrested. Wow.
I'm trying to find your thing. I don't know how to.
That got me
You
looking
sent me
like,
that screenshot.
pause, that, that don't look like me. But that's not me. But I think I'm in the algorithm, so they just make shit up to go viral. But I'm just sitting on the ranch working, bro. And I'm doing,
Right,
here,
thank God.
let me show you, look. Let me show you what I'm doing. So why don't you send him back a picture of me like this? I'm on the run. I guess I'm on the run right now. Hold on.
This is on the. This is supposedly on the news that he got this. He doesn't.
Does that look like the news to you?
I don't know.
Todd, come on.
It's. I mean, it's.
That's an AI. But either way, you're on the phone with me now, so you know I'm not arrested, right?
Right, I know. I know.
Yeah, I'm FaceTiming you so you can see. So you can see me?
I can't tell that's you. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, but you hear me talking.
Yeah.
So yeah, they arrested a dope lagger, but I don't know why. What's the charge? Doppelganger, whatever you call that. But it's crazy because you're a person I do business with, and this could potentially scare you to do business. Like let's say you just called me and said, "Dane, I can't work with you anymore because of all of this bad press." That's not true. I would have a lawsuit because I just lost money because of that. And that's a lot of what my life is. You understand what I mean? So I'm doing an interview right now, and it's like the problem is I run my family's office, and that's it. I don't do anything but run my family's office, but I don't get paid for that. But anyway, I am on live TV right now. Look, but I just wanted to pick your call up. I'm sure it was real. But that other thing we talked about, that we've been talking about, we're still good?
Yeah, I should have the documents back in a couple days.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. I'm going to call you after this interview.
All right, bye.
All right. So what you just saw is someone I do real business with. Here you go, Nicolette. And they just said the FBI picked me up. And I'm sitting on a ranch doing an interview, shooting my gun on the ranch. So, it's like I could have, just based on the false narrative, like, when I hear and read like they're taking my house, they're taking my movie studio. When I hear guys like Ray Daniels say that, Jay should give me money, I don't look at that as a compliment. I look at it as people, because if someone's going to like bring attention and say I need help, then they should help themselves. I just feel like it's throwing a jab to bring awareness to people's perception of me needing help. And I think the world, for some reason, or some people in this world, have the desire to have a visual of me really uncomfortable. And I just, unfortunately for them, I haven't been able to provide that for them. So they start to make up visuals that don't exist. But, I think if I was petty and I look at the amount of lawsuits and exactly for what I got sued for, I do think I have causes of action for a lot of people that have said false things. So every radio station that said that I got to sell my house, everybody that did an interview saying that someone should help me, like, again, you would think, like, what would you prefer to be worried about? A RICO or a repo? You understand what I'm saying? Like, a RICO or a repo, all they worried about with me is a repo that's never happened. And, no one really celebrates my life or my lifestyle or how close I am to my family. My daughter is on a show on Bravo. It's top 10 on Peacock. It's called Next Gen. And it's the only platform that showcases the real relationship between me and my daughter and that celebrates that I'm really a healthy father in hip hop. And in this moment that you would think that there's such a bad perception of hip hop, Why wouldn't you show the good parts of hip hop? And why would it be our people that are the ones that continue to showcase the things that make us look bad to the rest of the world? So why wouldn't we say Dame's daughter is on a hit TV show taking care of herself amongst a bunch of Nepo babies, and she's a supermodel, and she hasn't had to play herself to take care of herself? And that celebrating our relationship as me and her, me being a father and being able to advise the family office and how much my family is thriving, not to compare my family to others, but like every mother of every one of my children, they all own houses. All my kids go to college paid. So again, if you're going to talk, number one, don't feel sorry for me ever unless you got a couple of houses. Unless you got a couple of houses, don't even worry about your own. I would think it would be better. But I think the real wealth is the relationship and the love that you see amongst my family. Y'all watched me go through up and downs, but at the end of the day, I raised really good kids that are now good adults. And I'm not in any of the issues that most of my counterparts are in. The accusations for me is, oh, he mismanages finances because the government, taxes, which no one I know has paid over, $10, $20 million in taxes. So unless someone's paid $10, $20 million in taxes, you can't judge a man for having $10 or $20 million in taxes. Unless you've been sued for $800,000 or you lost 4 trials for $800,000, you can't say a man mismanaged his finances or his business acumen should be compromised because they're not getting paid. And it's not intentional. It's just, unfortunately, I haven't been focused on me for the last 10 years. I don't own anything, but my family's doing all right. But those calls are silly, but they're daily of stupid shit. I know I'm in the algorithm and it's cool. It doesn't really bother me, but I do want people to at least learn from my business acumen. Don't make my heaven look like hell because you're in hell.
I hear you. So you have an issue with the narrative that people is pushing, saying that Jay, he need to help you out and give you some money.
That was corny. What should he give me money for? Like, and when did I ask for him to give me any money? And why do I need any money from Jay-Z? I've been not trying to get no money with him, so why would I want to start getting money with him now? Not all money is good money to me. But like, why would I? Why? Because there's a lawsuit for 800 grand, and because I owe 20 million in taxes. Like I said, until you pay 20 million in taxes, don't feel sorry for me. And if you do feel sorry, enough to say another man should send me something, Ray Daniels, because you my man, but you never called me and said, Damon, you all right? Do you need anything? None of the people that have vocalized that another man, and to me, again, that whole conversation is a bit feminine. But if you're going to say some shit like that, you should have actually done something to help the problem. But I never got the call from Ray saying, do you need anything? And anyone else that I've ever given, paid a bill, paid their rent, paid their college, any dollar, not one person, and I don't want them to, because they know I'm all right. But not one person has called and said, yo, could I send you something to help? But I don't need the help. But if you're going to talk about it, be about it. But to me, that's just a jab when you tell and promote a false narrative and say that I'm in such a bad place that another dude should help me and that my tail's in between my legs to the extent because of a lawsuit that I would actually take that money. I'm a man. I don't want nobody to give me nothing but the opportunity to do what I got to do. And I don't see no opportunity. I don't want to perform for the Super Bowl. I'm not all right with the NFL. I'm still mad it ain't no black owners. We went from kneeling to being happy when we could perform for them. That wasn't what I was about. I was about ownership of our own league and taking pride in that. I'm not a court jester for everybody else to get good ratings. I know what we're being used for, and I'm not cool with that. So it's a big deal is to jump on a stage for a bunch of white owners? No, that's embarrassing to me. It's a spectacle. They're laughing at us. Like being patted on the back by another culture is not how I judge my success. Only person that has the audacity to pat me on my back is my family. And they better, I'd be like, you better chill out. I don't want no pats on the back. I don't play that. I'm not in the Patty Pat Club on no level.
I feel you. But speaking of the NFL, I know right now Nicki Minaj, she calling out Jay, and I know Colin Kaepernick's wife, she called out Jay, saying that, Jay did her husband wrong. But I don't know, I don't know the backstory behind that, man. But I know it's going, viral right now on social media. But I do want to ask you, how do you feel about the NFL right now in general?
It's funny. She's cool. She's cool with my wife, Rocky. I think the NFL is always going to use an other corporate, someone from our culture, to give them our culture and to make us look at things different. So it did go from us being like no NFL, y'all, ratings down, to now we perform for y'all and y'all get to exploit our ratings and our viewership. So to me, I look like we just got manipulated, but that's just me. And everyone thinks it's a big deal to perform for a bunch of white owners, and I don't think that's a big deal. I think they laugh at us. That's just my perspective. I just have like a different lens. So like again, for someone to think that it's the pinnacle of their careers to perform for a bunch of people that don't aren't from our culture and make them a bunch of money from it, and you have to pay to perform. That's the other thing that's funny about it. So for me, that might be somebody's heaven, but for me, that's like a hell. So I stay away from it because if that's your heaven, that's your heaven. But my heaven is us having our own league, and I see black owners, and I see black head coaches, and I see that the value of the team isn't based on how rich the owner is. The value of the team should be how rich the players are, and that would be my dream. My dream is never that I work for them and they give me stuff. That to me is a nightmare. I like what Kendrick Lamar did. He didn't give a fuck about the NFL. He said, I'm using this for a weapon in my war. And I'm laughing. I'm doing whatever I want, performing whatever records I want. I thought that he used that opportunity to do what was in the interest of his war. And I wasn't mad at that. I felt like he was laughing at the NFL. And I give him props for that. I thought that was strategic in the way he carried it. It wasn't like it was for the NFL at all. It was for him to give a particular person a message. I like like that. Like in a battle and that kind of war, I could dig it. Use them for your purpose, but don't let them use us for their purpose. But yeah, we forgot all about the kneeling and all that. That's out the window now. No more respect. We're just back to working and busting, breaking, getting concussions and CTM and all that other while everyone like there was a clip I saw where this was talking about the dude Jerry Jones was I forgot it was a black dude. It was someone I was surprised I was even having that conversation with him. And he was talking about the size of the nigga's penis, pause. That was crazy. That right there to me was like, yo, that's how you look at slaves. And they were laughing about it. And we laughed at that. I just didn't find that too amusing. In Dallas, Texas,
He was talking to Jimmy Fox.
yeah. Oh, it was Jamie Foxx. But Jamie Foxx is a comedian. I thought he was gonna cut that nigga up. At least the pause, something.
How does he know that though? I mean, that's weird, bro.
What you think? They in the locker room, butt ass naked. Honestly, if I have football teams, no more locker rooms where niggas just walk around naked around each other. You gotta have your own space. I don't want to be naked in front of a bunch of dudes. I'm not.
Yeah, that was wild when I seen that, man.
Nah, that's what they do. I'm not, and no disrespect to no athlete, you grow up like that, but my preference is not to be in the locker room taking when they see me naked. I'm not doing all that. I don't like dudes looking at me naked at all. I'm not having that. Pause. So I mean, it's not a big deal, and I'm not mad at anybody, but that's the way I would run sports would be a little more emotionally intelligent. Pause for that whole segment. I'm even mad we talked about that. I'm kind of mad. That was nasty. Pause. That was crazy. I don't know where the world is today, B.
Yeah, that was crazy. I just assumed that, Jerry Jones, he probably found out because I think they do physicals, right?
I didn't even think I didn't want to visualize that. I didn't want to think about it no more. I was like, that's corny. I was like, ew. That's why I was like, this is why I feel the way I do. Look at the way they look at us. Like, stop. And they looking at, the wrong. Like, it almost feels like he walk, I ain't even gonna. See, you making me, let's do something. Let's talk about something. That's nasty. It's nasty work. I don't want to visualize none of that. I don't even care to know why another man wants to know the size of another man. I don't care. That's not a conversation they want to hear Dame Dash having.
It was a comment you made earlier about money management, and I want to ask you how you feel about the people that say you was mismanaging the money at Rockefeller.
Yeah, that's the that's not even worth acknowledging. I just say mind your business. Like you don't know what you're talking about. Again, talking about another man's business is feminine. Me addressing other men talking about my business is feminine. The only time that I feel the need to address a narrative is when it's fucking with my money. But it's not fucking with my money right now. This narrative right now. But it's good that as you see, I have people I work with that will call me and find out if it's true. But just naturally, it's like they do make it hard for people to do corporate business with me with all this shit in the newspaper all the time, because most people don't use their own money, so they can't take chances. You understand what I mean? So like the people that corporate, they're like, yo, if you get it, like there's certain contracts, it'd be like if you get accused of something, not even convicted, you could lose all your deals. I'm a person that they just make shit up. I just got arrested by the FBI. This is a white man calling me, telling me this. And they had it in AI. That's how starving everybody is to put me in the algorithm to show me suffering that they make up visuals. It's like I'm more flattered that people care so much about my money. But I don't recall ever running around saying I feel like I'm the guy that's always been like I'm broke. Like hustlers don't say they got money because you become a target. The only time you say you have a bunch of money is when you don't. But that's for people that actually have had money. They would know. That's why I could tell the level of a person's, how much money they've made in their life by how they act when they hear certain things. It's like you should know better than that. If you had some money, you would know. So most people that talk about my money, like I said, you know, I don't think they've ever made a lot of money to know what it's like to talk about it. But I'm not judging them, but y'all talking about me. So just, you want to keep talking, keep talking. I don't mind the algorithm. I think any famous person that cares what the public thinks, if it's like, especially if it's not true, if it's not fucking with their money, I just think that that's an oxymoron. Like the people that hate you the most, they disguise themselves and they start to say things. People that hate you for no reason are cowards. You know, like if you got to fight with me, fight in front of me. Give me a fair one. And I'm getting older now, so it's like, yo, it's whack. I'm like 54. I'm never gonna be in my 20s again. You're never gonna see the 20-year-old version of Dame Dash again. But I did do a lot young. I did do a lot young. I retired at 35. I'm 54. Like, when can I relax and just enjoy my family and just do what I want to do? But again, I don't care what people say. I keep talking. Keep talking about my pockets. I ain't got nothing. I don't give a. Y'all need therapists. Y'all got some unrecognized trauma that you need to deal with so you could stop hating other people because you hate yourself. I feel sorry for those people. The test is, do I still do the right thing despite other people not doing the right thing? Of course. I like my life. I'm not going to make my heaven into hell because they're in hell.
Yeah, I know Cam, he said that you'll be set for life if you know how to manage your money. It was out of love when he said it too.
Again, I'm not, see, the thing about Cam is he's my little brother. He's from Harlem. And what he did, I wouldn't advise. And because he did it doesn't mean I'm going to do it. Him and I should have that conversation in person. I'm not here to have a conversation between my little brother for entertainment. But it seemed to me like he could potentially have done that for entertainment. But we'll talk about him and I should. And I know Cam. He'll avoid me for 3-4 years. But if he ever has an opinion, I think what would be, I don't respect when a man speaks about another man when they're not there. I'm not known for talking about dudes when they're not there. I'm known about for confronting people and having a conversation in their face. So I would love to have a conversation if he wants face to face, but I don't think it would be that same energy. But I love Cam and we'll deal with that. Like if you saw someone that's supposed to be an OG not acting like one because one of the people that are younger than them did something that you wouldn't do, and then it says, all right, now I'm gonna do that, then that takes away from my OG-ness. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna do that for this platform. So it's all right. I'm not offended by the question. I talked to like, other people from Harlem, and overall we decided talk to him when you see him. But I don't think it's a good look for him to be talking about anybody's pockets ever. Like I said, it's not the most masculine quality. I'm not saying anything, not trying to disrespect him, but I just it was something I never thought I'd see him do about anybody, nonetheless me, is talk about somebody's pockets. But you know what? The only thing I was just wait, let me say this. The only thing I was disappointed to for Cam when he did say that, he didn't let the world know that every time he calls me, I still front on him. So when he calls me recently with all of these things, before he got upset because of whatever I said about 50 Cent, I'd be like, yo, we still fronting. So every time I call him, I'd be like, yo, I'm in a different house. Show me your house. I was just wondering why he didn't talk about that. Like every time he's seen me, he's never seen me look like I've mismanaged my money. It just seemed like it was promoting a narrative. What makes me sad about that is that guys like Steve Stout and other people are just laughing at us when they do that. And I just be like, why would you want them to get that satisfaction to see us argue or have a disagreement and, we could just talk? But I did wish I'd be like, why you don't bring up how much I be stunting on him? Like, pause till this day. Why he's not talking about that? That's what I wanted to know. Like, I want to talk about the fun. Like, literally, the last 3 times he called me, I was at different cribs and all had water views, whether it was a river or a lake. Like, how could you mismanage your money, but you paying for everything you do? How is that? Cause that, you know, I don't get it. But you know, it's just a narrative. I think that's in the algorithm. But I'm looking forward to the conversation with Cam about that. I call British. I call people like, yo, call me. But it's all good. But my suggestion for that situation is that if you do have someone you respect and they did something you didn't like and they call you, don't curve, call. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't curve a call them, talk to them. And that should be the example that we had a disagreement, we resolved it, no one had to know. But like, don't it's not a cool thing to say somebody called to talk about whatever you're upset about and you just decided to go talk about it on television. That's not the example that's not Harlem to me. But we keep going. But I love Cam. It's my brother. But I think sometimes being around like a Steve Stout or something gives him the wrong kind of effect and be worried about the wrong shit.
Speaking of 50, I seen an interview where he was telling a story about how he signed a deal for 1 million, and you made a comment about it saying that 1 million is not no real money.
No, no, no. I wasn't speaking to him at all. I did an interview on MTV, and I was trying to warn artists that if you get $1 million, don't think it's gonna just, you know, that it's real money. It's not. I was telling them that the taxes takes half, a car, clothes, blah blah blah. I broke it down, so I wanted people to learn from my experiences. So I think when he got $1 million, I don't know if he saw that and it hurt his feelings. He took it as offensive. That's come insecurity. Most people took that as like a thank you, but I could assure you right now in this moment, if you ask him if $1 million is a lot of money for the lifestyle he's leading, I don't think he would say it is. Especially if he's, I'm not looking at another man's pockets, but I don't think anyone that has, $1 million of bills a year would ever think $1 million is a lot of money. And if he doesn't have $1 million worth of bills, then what is he working so hard for?
So you and 50 cool right now, because I know y'all got an up and down relationship, and he did show you love a few weeks ago on his social media. So
Hey, yo, there ain't no up and down relationship. He said something, and I said something back. But a lot of that is like I think strategic algorithm. But I'm not gonna knock. I don't have a problem with him. I actually appreciated that he said my companies, and he actually was like, "Yo, go over there." Like none of my friends or people that I've helped have ever done that. So I don't think, and again, I hear things. I don't think anyone owes me any money or any help. I just think they should match the energy that I gave them. So it doesn't cost $1 to post something on your Instagram or your Twitter. Just do that. You understand what I'm saying? But 50 actually did it. regardless of what context he said it in, I'm a guy that likes to play. I joke, pause. So if he wants to snap, to me, that's easy work for me. But also, to me, like, he's a different kind of businessman than I am. Like, and it ain't no disrespect to him, but like, he works with the system a lot. I don't. I use my own money. I don't know what he do, but I don't use their money. I like to own my content. He has a fast channel. I distribute fast channels. I have a whole network with like, ad tech and shit like that. It's a different language, but I also have an album out, and I was challenging, like, let's do the music. Let's do the clothes. Let's do the movies. I'm a creative these days, but I'm also a businessman. But the thing that's been bothering me the most is the reason why anybody cares who I am and about my bills should because of my music acumen, right? Because of what I've done in music, right? So when I put out an album, I don't understand, and it's a rock and roll album with a Roc-A-Fella with live instruments. I don't hear anybody talking really about that other than me. Like, I thought it was about the creativity. So even if it's to like, I had this conversation with Londell. He owns The Source. He's a black man the other day. And I'm like, yo, it's The Source magazine. Like, y'all posting shit about my bills, but you're not posting, pause. You're not posting about, you're not posting about the music. And that's really where I want to hear the judgment. And I feel like, when did it become more about my bills, gossip, than the creativity? I literally, I was talking to Daytwan because he took the pictures. He was there at the time he worked for Vibe, and Vibe is owned by the same people that own Billboard. I forgot their names. Like, he connected me to them. They didn't even write about it. That's where I'm like, what the fuck is this? We're just all gossip now. Everyone's wearing a skirt. No one cares about the creativity anymore. Like, I don't understand. So, as I was saying, like, I did an album with Freeway, with Cash, who's like the best guitar player on the planet. And maybe because people don't understand doing something different, but at 54, I feel like I should be doing something different. I just don't hear nobody talking about it. I'm singing in a fucking album and no one's saying a word. That seems intentional to me. But it should be about the music, you know? I'm surprised. Like, even you, like, you're not, like, yo, you got a new album out, blah, blah, blah. Have you listened to it?
Nah, I haven't heard it yet. I'm gonna get to it though.
Oh, let's take a break. Let's take a break. I need, no. I need you to download it. So let's take a break. And, we on the ranch, chill out, listen to the album, and I'd like to hear your take on it. I'll be back. I'll smoke a joint. Just download it. It's called 365. But you can't have a, so listen to it. But I would listen to it so you could ask me questions about it, not after. But I'm going to go smoke a joint and take this fucking thing off my thing.
This a real good album, man. 365. And to be honest with you, I never really paid attention to Freeway like that as a rapper. And he killed this, man. He a real good rapper, man. He dope, yeah.
No, I'm telling you, Freeway is no. I could tell you this: when we were in Miami, when Aaliyah was in Miami before the crash, I flew out there because I had put the state property in a house to make music, and they came up with no album, but Freeway was there, and Freeway was Aaliyah's favorite artist from Roc-A-Fella, and she really wanted. She was a team player like that, so I was actually flying out to do the record with Freeway. So had she not crashed, that record would have happened, and it would have been magic. So also, this project is like kind of dedicated to the project that I would have done with Aaliyah with him, because, like, if you listen to her last album, she was really getting very progressive in her music, and she didn't want to put out Rock the Boat because she thought it wasn't reflective of where she was musically, and that's where the whole problem started. But like, I think, like, again, a lot of losing people that you love, it hurts, and then that, like, wondering what it would have been like if she would have been here, and the creative things she would have done. That's the that comes with, that's the pain. That's the time. And I don't hide that hurt, but that one still hurts.
Yeah, the last album she came out with, that was her best body of work.
Well, I had the honor of like actually having just listening to it with her over and over again, and her explaining what she was trying to accomplish in her music, you know? Like she wasn't going to be like she was going to be an international, like, no genre. She didn't want genre. She just wanted different. Like she was a real artist. So it's almost like, like my man Daniel, he just lost his wife Keita, my OG, and the way he celebrated her life through her funeral, and he just did this Heaven Up in Harlem. 3,000 people came, fireworks. That's real Harlem. You know, celebrating your woman to me is the most gangster shit a nigga could do. You know what I mean? So, and again, even watching how he carried himself in this moment, I'm like, damn, there's more shit I should have did. And that's what a real OG teaches you. Like busting a gun, that doesn't make you an OG. It's taking care of your woman and your family and doing it in a way that's masculine to me and leading by example. He ain't my only OG, just my favorite because he's an OG about the shit that I really care about, like love. And he's tough about it. And I wish people would celebrate that a little more. Like I'm the guy that celebrates my OGs. I celebrate my friends. I celebrate my family. I want to see everybody win. And when they do good things, I don't want to take the credit for it. I want people to know where I got my shit from so they could learn from it from the original source. And that's the example that I want to lead. It's like, be tough about the right shit. Like, it's so easy to squeeze the trigger, man. You know what I mean? Like, I got it on me just because we had to kill a fucking rattlesnake the other day and there's bears out here. But I'm a vegetarian. I don't want to hurt nothing. I don't think that shit is tough. I think growing things is tough. Pause. Nurturing, being vulnerable in the right ways. Sacrifice for the things and the people you love and your morals and not doing things for money. That's what's cool to me. Like a rock star doesn't compromise. A rock star doesn't worry about what other people think. A rock star does what they want and other people like watching them do that. But when someone conforms and starts listening to people that aren't rock stars, then you lose your rock starness. And I just don't want to lose me being a rock star. I'm not really a Roc-A-Fella. I'm a rock star. Pause. You know what I mean? And that's what I learned about myself. I'm always a Roc-A-Fella though, the original one. But it's just sad that it's just not here anymore.
Do you know any of the movies that Aaliyah was working on before she passed away?
Yeah, she was about to do the Matrix. So she had flew out to well, like she was that movie she was shooting in Australia. She flew out to LA and I flew out to LA while I was shooting Paid in Full. That scene where I'm like, you have to, when I'm driving and I'm in, I went from that scene where I was like, when they were saying, when I was like, yo, you better hit your man with some work or hit, whatever it was. So I literally went from that scene to the plane because we were shooting a movie, which is why I couldn't go to Australia to see her. And we met for the night because she was meeting with the people that were doing the Matrix. And then I flew back that night or the next day to continue to shoot Paid in Full. So it's like while she was doing her thing, I was shooting Paid in Full. That was that time.
That's terrible. That would have been a good look too, her being in the Matrix. That definitely would have boosted her, acting career.
Her being alive would have been a good look, bro. Her making anything, just another second on this earth. Her being able to fulfill and realize her potential without having to deal with pain, that would have been great for me, you know?
I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. I guess when people see the MTV Cribs episode and you making a comment about how you wear your shoes once and you throw them away, and you got people coming out saying that you mismanage money and you will always ride private jets, I guess that make people assume that, these are the reasons why you went broke. Even though me personally, I already know you're not broke, but
That was 30 years ago, bro. That was in another century. Like, get over it. I know I hurt people's feelings, but the fact of the matter was, in that situation, in MTV's Cribs, was it was more cost effective because every a month I was flying artists to London to break around the world. So it was more cost effective instead of spending 70,000 for a weekend to spend the money just getting a crib. It's like collective economics, and people all had a place to stay. And the reason why I had to move around in the first place was because Jay was supposed to be the spokesperson, but he refused to do it. So I was like, I'm not doing two jobs. I'm not going to leave my child. I'm not getting paid more. I got to do it the way he would do it. If I'm going to live and be the artist now because he won't, then I got to be treated like one. So I wasn't going to go unless I was flying. And another thing, I flew private because, again, a first class ticket, British Airways at that time, round trip was 16,000. So we had like all artists that have to ride first class. So it was actually cheaper for us to ride in a private jet. I just work smarter, and it hurts people's feelings because they're dumb. But even still, like, if let's say that is the case, what the does that got to do with them? The bottom line is that year we had EBITDA of $40 million. We were profitable $40 million the year I did all those things. It's called marketing. So again, because you people don't speak boss and they speak fucking soldier, because I speak master, not slave, they're not gonna understand the moves I'm making. So why would I even care? But again, at the end of the day, it's not your business, and it literally happened in another century. So why are we still talking about it? Like, people are so it's interesting since I retired that they still talking about us. Like, I just wish that, people would do things more interesting so they talk about that. So my point is, I'm a creative. I'm such a creative that I made money off creatives, and now I'm actually being the creative, and I'm funding that. So I make my own music, I make my own movies, I have my own television network. I do all of the creative things. Not only is it funded by my family office, but I actually am the creative. I'm the one directing. I'm the one making the movies. I'm the one designing. I'm not doing it for another person. I'm not getting paid a salary. I'm not a line item at all. It's all because I just want to be creative, and I want my family to benefit from it. So again, I don't want to see your personal net worth. To me, that's corny, broke, new money shit. Let me know what your family office looks like. Then we can talk. If you don't know what a family office is, then go to fucking school and shut the fuck up. Because you have a lot of work to do on yourself. Any person in business that doesn't have a family office doesn't care about their family. They only care about themselves. If you didn't know, now you know. Do the research. Hopefully this interview evolves whoever's looking, because that's the only purpose. Because I see how stupid they make y'all because of narrative. When people do good business, when they're in heaven, y'all try to make them look like they in hell. I was having this conversation on the ranch. I had this epiphany. And I'm like, any negative thoughts is the devil inside of you. Anytime you have a perspective and it's not positive, that's you fighting the devil. Because I believe in God, and I believe every lesson that God presents me is by design for me to be a better person. So I don't look at things as if it's a bad thing. I'm like, damn, God knows I'm a warrior. You know, I've been a year ago, I started watching Formula One. And the thing that really, like, I'm going to break down why I love Formula One, and now it's in style. What I like is there's a driver, to me. They don't own the fucking company, but they risk their life every day. But the driver represents 1,000 people that have to build a machine every day. And that driver has to be able to drive at 250 miles an hour and make it, they do it so cold that it looks like they're going slow. Do you understand the focus it takes to move that fast and look slow? Well, that's what my life looks like. It's a race. I'm moving at 250, but it looks like I'm moving slow. And no one can comprehend that. And I'm the driver for my family office. It's not for me. It's for those thousands of people in my family that need to be protected. I work for a team. If you're not thinking that way, if you're not moving that fast, then you're not F1. You're not even F2. You're not even F3. You're FU. You understand what I'm saying? FU. Like you're moving so slow, complaining and distracted by such dumb shit like other people's business that you can't even comprehend moving at 250 miles an hour cool like that. So until you've been driving at this speed, just chill out or go practice so you could get in the race. But if you're judging the race, you can't judge the race and be in the race at the same time. I'm in the race. And it's been a while I've been racing. I've done so many races and so many different tracks for so many years. I could afford to lose a couple of races because I've won so many. I'm 54. How long do y'all want me to race at 250 miles an hour? It doesn't matter how long y'all want me to. All that matters is how long I want to and my family.
That's real talk. And I had no idea that she was generating all that money that year.
But that's the research y'all should do. When he did all of that, that's called marketing. So I'm gonna talk about Kanye business because it's public. When they took that 150 million and froze it, it was a marketing budget. They gave him 150 million to go live his life because they don't do no commercials. It's marketing. But he sells 10 million sneakers at the time. It's all marketing. So all that matters is your margin. It don't matter what you spend as long as you're making this much money. Some like Ralph Lauren, Purple Label, all his stores, all that luxury and cars is all a loss leader for him to sell a fucking polo shirt off price. It's all marketing. So what we were selling was a lifestyle. So we had people were buying into a lifestyle. So your man wasn't running around with girls like I was. People didn't want to buy into that. So I had to give him the lifestyle. Niggas couldn't dance. I could dance. I had to give him the lifestyle. Niggas is shy. I'm not. I got to give him the lifestyle. So that's all that was a marketing budget for lifestyle. So that other people could benefit. So I brought Noriega. You know, I was kicking it with what's her name? What's that girl's name? What's her name? MIA. Years ago in London. Ask Nori. That nigga, we had a drinking contest. I think she beat him. He had to run out of him. You know? I brought Memphis Bleek. I brought I think MOP. Did I bring MOP? I brought everybody. So I wasn't getting the crib for me. The jet wasn't. What the fuck I need a jet for one person? But it did cover costs. I'm smart about the way I do things. That's all. The purpose is not, the smart guy doesn't spend a bunch of money. He just looks like he's spending a bunch of money because he's just moving smart. So my question is, why do you think that hurts so many people's feelings? That I was just having such a good time. Why do you think it bothers people that I enjoy my life so much? You know why? It's because pillow talk with girls really bothers me. To me, it's just insecurity. They don't want their girls to like me. And I know a lot of people's girls like me. They like the boss. The girls always like the boss, bro. And I was a cool boss. I'm still a cool boss. You know, it was funny because one of the breakups with Roc-A-Fella, one of the things when I knew Roc-A-Fella was over was they were like, we're not playing pause anymore. The whole world plays pause. Every time I hear someone say pause, I find that to be a compliment. Like even my slang that people tried to dead still is what makes people, like, my way of living just works for people. I just know how to have fun. I think people should learn from it instead of resenting it. Like, down to the basketball shorts, the longs, all of that shit. Like, look at the receipts. The gazelles, the Russian hats. It was all me. Niggas was laughing when I was doing that. The ski hats with the ball. Go look at the pictures. A lot of people talk without doing research, which is why I thought it was important that you at least listen to the album before we talk. Because I just think people don't do the research. I think if people looked under the hood and really broke things down with logic as opposed to emotion, which is feminine, they would actually get all the answers that people are asking questions about. They're just not thinking. Like, you look at my Instagram, does it look like I'm struggling? Have you ever seen me? Has anybody that's saying I'm struggling ever looked at my life and said their life was better? I'm curious. I don't think I highly doubt Ray Daniels thinks he lives better than me. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt he thinks he has I'm in my guest house, my family's guest house in a vacation house, and it's bigger than most people's houses. We only visit this property 3 weeks out the year. I make sure my guests live better. Like, if you ask like a Oskino or people that come see me, for the years that they've been coming to see me, when they come see me, I always have another house for them to live in, not mine. I don't expect someone to come see me and have to go stay at a hotel. I got a crib for them at all times. That's why I'm like disappointed that when people do say I mismanage my finances, they've never seen that. All I've done was pay for projects for us to do. So I paid $1 million and Cam starred in that movie. I threw down on the project that we did with A-Track and Cam, but he never supported it. It just feels funny to me that everything I throw down on, he finds a reason not to support. But I just find that a human trait. It's just respect. People want to see me in the shelter. My shelter is just usually a little more luxurious than most people's, but they haven't seen it. So you want to talk, like, literally, I'm talking about the dude sent me, I'll show it to you. It had an AI. Todd just called me and said that someone told him I got arrested and sent him an article with it's a picture of me, AI, getting locked up by the feds. And I'm like, Todd, you're talking to me. What are you worried about right now? I'm telling you. It's that funny. Why do people, whose girl did I bone that they that mad? That they just want people to fucking, like, what the did I do? No matter what, unless people are talking about you, you're not doing nothing. But the question is, why would you talk about that instead of this? It's not like that's all I got going on. So when I go to a school with OSG, they don't say anything. When we sell 80,000 books of a children's book independently, which we did, no one says anything. When I put out an album, no one says anything. The question is, why aren't people interested in what I'm doing creatively? Why do they want to see a false image? Why do my own people want to see that? It's not really another culture that's saying this narrative. It's all black people. Y'all have been hoodwinked. You should feel like anybody that promoted that I got to sell my studio or that I have to put all my real things on auction, they fooled you. They're not credible. It hasn't happened. So it might happen where the judge will say, yo, because I said I own these companies, and if y'all want to auction them, you could, but they're not worth nothing. So you didn't hear about America New or CEO or any of those things. And nothing's been auctioned. And at the end of the day, if I want to, if there is an auction plan, the day before I could file, it's a stay. It's all gone. Nobody gets paid. That's the law. And I already told the judge, I'm like, I think I'm going to file. I just got to sort out some things because I'm sick of this dude suing me. Because also what happens after you file, which you should learn, is you can't be sued for a little while. And the problem is if someone's suing you, every lawsuit costs about $150,000, and that just seems like a strategic plan. And I'm just sick of one person that's obsessed, allegedly, continuously suing me all day for headlines, but not for money. Like I said, if a lawyer's been fighting and doing millions of dollars worth of legal work and only one and is chasing 800,000 and can't get it, he might. I think his partners would fire him for that. I would, but that's allegedly. But I just feel like someone has to save face because they chased the wrong pony. Like my fault. I'm not doing nothing for me no more. I'm not selfish. I don't want to own nothing. I want my family to benefit, and I'm only leveraging my celebrity for my family. I don't need a dollar. So if that's what I'm broke, family rich, fine. Yo, bro, if you go in my closet, we're going to do the other thing. There's a crispy pair of Nike Airs in there, right? I always have some Nike Airs on deck. What are you talking about? But now I make my own sneakers. Right now I'm on the rant, so I got these old school fucking New Balance that most people don't understand. This shit is fly with the blue rock socks. You know what I'm saying? You know, like people wouldn't understand my fit check because I make all my.
Death of a Dynasty. What made you make that movie?
I directed. That makes me excited because I directed that movie. It was in the Tribeca Film Festival. I was trolling. I saw what was going on, and I made a movie about it while it was happening. That's how funny it was to me, and that's how much of a genius I was about it. I take what I feel and make it into something creative and tangible. It was therapy, but it was, it was life imitating art in the moment. I just found that to be a genius thing to do. And if you look at how many people and celebrities from New York were in it, it's quite an incredible movie, to be honest. That again, no one will be like, damn, Dame. Like to me, the question from my perspective is like, how was you a CEO running all those verticals and you actually directed a movie? How do you do that? But if I don't give myself props, I guess nobody else will. I call them affirmations. If no one recognizes my super strengths, if I depend on people telling me how good I am, I would really think I wasn't. Could you imagine if I listened to what the world or these headlines and I made that my opinion of myself? It'd be terrible. But trust me, it doesn't. It just makes it actually gives me a higher opinion of myself. It's just people intrigued by me is a compliment. So many years later.
So would it be fair to say that you already knew Roc-A-Fella was coming to an end?
I knew that our relationship was pretty much a wrap. Yeah. I didn't know Roc-A-Fella was going to go down. But I know Jay and I, how we had existed. Yeah, that wasn't going to exist like that anymore. Like I was hearing that we had a beef. I was like, why, once we stopped playing pause, once he told me that Kevin Lyles was his friend and he likes Lior, once he told us that he didn't want to be partners anymore, once him and Big stopped speaking, yeah, it'd be pretty stupid to think that we were going to remain and have the same existence moving forward. We just had different aspirations for life at that point.
Yeah, I know when I interviewed Jim Jones, he feels like when Cam was announced vice president, that's when the friction started around Roc-A-Fella.
Again, that's another one that people just don't understand business. I discussed it with Cam. He made an announcement and amateurs panicked. Period. Like I never ever made him the vice president. It was a discussion. Cam does what Cam does. He goes and makes announcements, does not care, didn't give a. I didn't negotiate it. We didn't talk. It was just literally a conversation. So think about like I'm gonna argue with everybody about something that didn't happen. It's just dumb. If you're racing at 250 miles an hour, you don't have time to stop and have like to box. When you pit stop was box. I don't have time to change my tires for that. I got to stay in the race. So at that point, they were slowing me down for stupid shit like that. I still get asked this question 20 years later about something that never happened. And the judgment of a non professional, a non businessman, of their interpretation of it.
So Cam leaked it before it was official. And if y'all did agree on that, when was you gonna tell Jay?
Jay was on vacation, so when he came home, we were going to talk about it. If it were to happen, but it never happened. It was nothing to talk about. We had a stupid conversation with the whole crew on the phone. And at that point, I was like, these guys, they don't get it. But I'm not arguing over something that didn't happen. How many? Let me ask you this. So, come here for a second. Number one, I'm letting y'all know she's Spanish because people say she's white. She's Puerto Rican. But she did. How many books did you sell?
Well, the first year about
Look
70.
that way.
First year, oh, sorry. First year, about 70,000. I think.
70,000?
Yeah,
Independent?
yeah. Desco.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Desco's calling
But
me.
nobody talks about that. He wants what?
He's yelling for me.
So go back. You can go back and which one to talk. All right, 15 minutes.
I was, being the boss just of you.
All right, boss.
To making sure that you were aware.
I like this shirt. It's a DD shirt. You made that?
Yeah.
I like that.
Making sure I was aware of time and
Okay, we got it. Thank you. Thank you, boss.
But yeah, man, I mean, that's something people don't know, man. You was just running it past him. I always thought that she made it official that he was going to be vice president. So
It never happened. We never even. It was a discussion. So let's say based on our discussions, it didn't turn out that it would work. Then there would be nothing to talk about. So that like me and you talking right now and say let's do a television show, and we don't negotiate it, don't do nothing, and we say it's a good idea. Let's talk about it later, and then you go on the radio and make an announcement, and now I got to hear about it for 30 years. Do you think I want to hear about this? It's stupid. It's like you might think it's a big deal, but it's stupid to a businessman that's in the race. People that are in the race don't worry about shit like that. Listen. I'm a boss, and I know what comes with it. That's why I don't complain about it. It's like part of the game. The good stuff way outweighs the bad stuff. It's like saying, I'm going to be a professional boxer, a world champion, and you're never going to get punched. It's like saying you're going to win the Super Bowl and never get tackled. It's just part of the game, bro. It's in the race. Like some people get mad over words. I get mad over actions. It's because I'm about that action. Most people that are talking just aren't doing anything. Cam does like that. That's what I'm saying. That's Cam. Jim punching Lenny S in the face affected. Jim punching Lenny S in the face affected Roc-A-Fella. Everything they did affected Roc-A-Fella. Everybody was butthurt over the wrong shit. That's why I had to be out. I was just sick of men fighting over dumb shit. That's why I decided, let me go run my family office. What's the next thing I did? Rachel Roy. I stopped fucking with niggas completely. You know why? Because I'm not having feminine conversations with masculine men. It makes me just as feminine as them. Not to say people are, I'm not dissing nobody. I'm just saying that's how I look at shit. Like, I'm not having these conversations. I'm in the race. I don't have time. That's the boss, bro. The boss, all problems go on the boss. Every good thing, everyone else celebrates. It's always the boss. But the boss gets the girls, so who cares?
Beans, he was on the platform and he showed you nothing but love too, but he did tell me that his album, The Becoming, it came out without him knowing.
That's because he was don't you think, hold on, time out. He was in prison. So of course it would have came out better if he wasn't in prison. The celebration to me there would be that someone even put his album out at all and cared because nobody else wanted to do it. So my plan for Beanie was to make, because I didn't know if he was going to get convicted or not. I was trying to make 3 or 4 albums so he could get $1 million because he got $1 million advance. Everyone did that sold over 500,000 records. So I just wanted to keep him with $1 million every year he was in jail to take care of his family. But I didn't have any support. So yeah, it's kind of hard to do everything on your own. So I basically, when we released his album, I physically went and performed his records. That's my street team. So it's like, nothing's perfect. I would have rather I would have rather not been in jail. I would have rather not had to go to court every day from Philly, from Tribeca. I would have rather not had to, he did his house arrest. Like I had people talking to the judge, the jail. He did his house arrest in one of my cribs. Luckily, I had a few, but he did it in Tribeca so he could still work. When he was going through his trial or when he was home on bail, I had him in a 5,000 square foot Tribeca loft, and his whole crew stood there. And then, I made sure that he was protected by having cameras on at every second. And I made sure that we looked strong and that everybody in Roc-A-Fella came to support him at least once. That's what I did.
Yeah, he said that he had no idea that the Feeling in the Air video came out until he seen it on TV when he was in prison.
Oh, no, no. Feel It in the Air. Let me just tell you about Feeling in the Air. I had Mariah Carey actually laid the vocals for Feeling It in the Air for Beanie, and he swapped out the singer for a younger singer that was on our label. And that's Feeling in the Air, the original. And that's Mariah Carey. She came over. She came over and she was like, kind of like, I'll give you a story where she was like, yo, what's up with your man Freeway? Because of the battle he had with Cassie. Like, she was really clued in. And, but as a favor to me, she, a big shout out to Freeway. He did a great job on the album, and he's a real lyricist. And to me, he's a general. And he does what I think you should do as a rapper at that age that's been through what he's been through. But yeah, he took Mariah Carey off. She did it on a boat in Capri for me. But I would have rather had Mariah Carey on that record. But she did. I gotta find that vocal.
Yeah, that would have been crazy if y'all had her on the hook.
It was. I had it. The thing was, Beanie started making decisions that I just would be like, go ahead. So every decision Beanie made was his. He chose to go the direction of Jay. That was his decision. Even though things were going on, I don't knock him for it. Like I said, I think, like, to me, everybody in Roc-A-Fella should have been a billionaire. And the question I always ask is, how come there's no more Roc-A-Fella? I left it on somebody's watch. How come there's no more Rockware? I left it on somebody's watch. What you should talk about is, what did Roc-A-Fella look like when I had it, and then when I didn't? How cool was it before, and then it just evaporated? I don't understand why no one asked that question. To be logical, it'd be like, damn, when Roc-A-Fella was, you was there, it was hot. Now it doesn't exist. When Rockware was there, and I was, spending all this money, it was hot, but now it doesn't exist. How come these things don't exist anymore? And only, no one that was a part of it has a volume of money. Let me just tell you something. Anyone that works every day, that's in front of a camera every day, that's doing shows every day, it's because they have to. They got you buy, but you have bills that you have to maintain. Nobody really wants to do physical work. Wealth is, to me, how much you don't have to work and only do what you want. That's wealth to me.
Yeah, that's real talk. And Beans, he also told me that, when he got out of prison, him and Jay had a convo, and Jay told him personally that he didn't like how he was working with R. Kelly. But him telling me that made me think about you, and I wanted to ask you, did you have any issue with him working with R. Kelly?
I was gone. I checked out. I know when I saw the video and how he was dressed, I thought it was like contradicting. Like, my issue with that would be, like, let's say, for God's the personal, is that wasn't the type of artist that Beans was. He was more of a state property kind of guy. And that's what, in me, that was the vertical I wanted for him, that I thought he would be successful at. But him, like, dressing up a different way and doing, like, that's just not. It was like when Beans was writing music for Puff. And, I had to have a conversation with Puff after a while. Like, why you keep having my artists writing for you? Because we're not the same. Like, it's a different kind of thing. Like, I wouldn't have like an R&B artist or writer, even though, like, my artists, they got to write for themselves. Or she was getting cut up, really, you know, or there was a little less respect. But it just wouldn't make sense for his image. It didn't go with state property. It went with Rockware, and that's what other people from other cultures convinced him. was you should do more Rockwell looking shit. To the extent that he was kind of mad at me because I was like, nah, don't do Rockwell. That's not you. Your state property. That's all. Like, why have two people doing the same vertical? But I love Beans. I love Beans. They're all my brothers. I love them all. I have no hate toward any of them. Disappointment, yes, but they're men. They have to make their own decisions. Did they realize the potential that I thought that they should have, that I visualized for them? No, not at all. But it took us as a team to get where we had to go, and the team got broken up. So now everybody has to do what they got to do. It's every man for themselves now. But it's better when we're a team.
Yeah, that's real talk. And I get it. I get why you'll be annoyed by that. By Puffy always asking Beans to write for him. Yeah, I mean, after a while, that does get annoying. So,
Not annoying, just I don't want them to start to be more R&B. It's like I want them to stay focused on what they're good at, and then they can evolve after they've made history in this vertical. It was like me working with Def Jam and them sending their street team and be like, I got my own street team. We don't need two street teams. I need someone to go get me pop culture. We already had like a Jay and a Kanye. The vertical for war was state property. And that's because they just chose to go to jail a lot. Not chose, but they all had cases except Freeway. All the time.
speaking of Puffy, what was the issue between Mase and Jay?
I don't remember. I really don't. I don't remember. I just remember when he went with Puff, and he went from like Mace Mussolini to like the shiny suits, and I felt that that was a contradiction of who I knew from like Children of the Corn. But I don't remember me having any particular. I mean, I think like Jay had a little like imaginary players or some shit like that. I don't know, but I do remember us like coming uptown and talking it out, getting it over with, or like with her. His other, I forgot. To be honest, it's not like a super core memory for me.
So that's confirmation then. So Jay, he was talking about Mace on Imaginary Player.
100%. But we might have been talking about a lot of people. It wasn't just him. It was like a lot of people were doing that. So, like our perspective on things, and I think mine still is, and this probably is too, is we just always took pride in having like an old money kind of taste. Like not a new world taste. So when people were doing that was like Young Money, not Young Money the group, but just New Money, we were just kind of snobby about it. So we just looked down because we just were a little more evolved because we were looking to be the best, not the best black, the best everything. Like if I came around with a four-door Pathfinder without the ski rack at like 19 or 18, and all they talked about was you don't have the ski rack. If I would have came around with a 500 Benz instead of a 6, people that never had cars in their life would be teasing me. You understand what I'm saying?
At that time, though, I know Mace, he was selling more than Jay, but I'm sure Jay had more money, right? Because he was in a better situation.
We never sold a lot of records, ever. Ever. Like the most records we sold was like 3 million or 5 maybe. That one time with Hard Knock Life. The other verticals is what kept us going. So that's why we made movies and had Rockware. I more looked at Roc-A-Fella as marketing to put all my products in the videos to sell everything else that they didn't own. Like selling records, nobody makes money selling records. An artist makes money selling, doing shows and selling their merch. So I turned merch into a clothing line that they couldn't own and made it into a very big business.
I was watching a Bleek interview where he made some comments about Beans, state property clothing line. And it made me want to ask you, what was your intentions when you gave Beans that clothing line?
None of your business. None of your business. That was his business between me and him. And if Beans was not satisfied, Beans should talk about it. Nobody else but Beans. But someone that doesn't do business, their interpretation of it, someone that is at the actual, no disrespect, but not looked at as the smartest guy in the crew, the brightest light out there, their interpretation of business, for you to even respect that, for them to give a platform to talk about another man's business, That's the issue. But I'm not talking about what my intention. Like, who the f- are you, anybody to ask me why I'm doing something and doing business with somebody? But you could ask him. If there was a complaint or any of those things happen, the problem with everyone is I was the driver, but y'all think I made all the decisions. So when it comes to like, I'll hear Nori say I couldn't sign Daddy Yankee and grab my man saying he had a choice. He had no choice. Jay was not fucking with them. I just wasn't going to go and say, I have to get approval from Jay, Leor, this guy, that guy. They're not going to approve it. You think Jay was approving Jim Jones getting $1 million for a fucking single? But it all goes on me. You think I'm the one that didn't want to sign Daddy Yankee? This nigga didn't want me to sign Kanye, Nori, Joe Buttons. That's when I was like, enough is enough. But there's certain fights I was like, I'm not fighting over Jim. He could do his thing. But what I didn't have to do was be the person to say they could go get money with Koch because y'all slowing up their money. That I didn't have to do. And you could ask them about that. But like him, because Bleek paused the question, that's ridiculous. I'm not answering Bleek about no business questions. Next question. But what I do think is that thing about him not writing his raps, I guess it must have really disturbed his world. So I guess that's.
Yeah, he said that was a lie.
No. What he said was what he said was he didn't write all his raps, but a lot of the ones that were singles, I saw Jay write a lot of raps for him. But he writes his own raps, but the ones that were singles, but we can move on. Again, the question should be, what singles did you write? That would be the question I would ask.
Yeah, Bleak, he also said that he was warning other Roc-A-Fella artists that Jay was about to leave, but they wasn't listening to him.
And what would you think the purpose of saying that is? Here's why. I don't see how it makes. I don't. Maybe it makes him feel good. Like I said, if that makes him feel good, God bless him. I don't really care. Like, I don't know if he warned everybody would have been better off. But also, that's an accurate. I mean, it's a testimony that no one listens to Bleak. So if he was talking and no one was listening, that's who Bleak was at the time. It's a good thing. I'm happy that people are finally listening to what he says. God bless you, Bleak.
Daddy Yankee, y'all could have signed him to Roc-A-Fella. What happened with that?
Because Jay wouldn't approve. I had to get everyone's approval. So Jay, Leor, Biggs, and we had to have not spent as much money yet. Like, it was not in the budget for that year because we just gave Jay $5 million for an album. Just nothing I can do. But like, I'm not going to go and say every time Jay disagreed with something to artists so they hate him. I just that's the job of a boss. That's why I stopped being their boss. I didn't enjoy it anymore. Like, no one knows. I retired. Nobody kicked me out of Roc-A-Fella. I quit. Like, I just don't think people listen.
That would have been a hell of a signing.
It would have been, but I did everything I could do. So I put him on a single. I supported tours. I just, again, the people that they celebrate so much are the ones that was the ones shitting on them. It just cracks me up. And I just be like, ask that man now that you're next to him, why didn't you want to sign or approve that? I didn't make a move without Jay knowing. I didn't say no. It was a collective. It was a unilateral decision. It was never about my personal opinion. It was about a collective personal opinion about somebody. Like, Jay didn't want. I told you the revolt happened when we said that we signing Kanye, and that was the one time we like really. It was like, I don't care about the other, but I'm gonna fight over Kanye, Nori, and Joe Buttons because I didn't see why he wouldn't do that. So I was like, nah, he would like disappear when it was time to sign budgets because he had to be. I mean, ask Leor. He had to sign off on everything. I had to sign off on everything, and I think Biggs did too when he was around. But I think he did too. Yeah. I guess like you got. I was considered because there were like almost everyone in Roc-A-Fella was looked at as some degree of a boss. But I was looked at boss. I was looked at as boss of the bosses. So if anything happens as a boss of bosses, you got to wear it. Anything that happens on my watch is my fault. That's the honorable thing. You just got to wear it. But people don't understand what it means to be the boss because they've never been the boss. There's some shit that come with it. And now I have a boss, my family.
I get it. If you're supposed to be the CEO and you got to get everybody, to sign off on you signing an artist, and they keep rejecting it, I mean, that can be frustrating, man. So, I get it, man.
And then they blame it on me. Yeah, who wants to argue with niggas over helping them all day? I'd rather argue with a girl over that than a dude. Or like my family. It's worth it. At least if they win, I still got to get the benefit of the cash flow. I live with my family.
Before we end this interview, 365, y'all got to push that, man. That's a good single. Y'all honestly can, get a hit out of that, man, if y'all push it right.
I mean, the model is to put all the music in my movies and let that be the commercial. And we have some announcements to make, but I'm not going to do them today. But trust me, that music will be seen at a very professional level in real professional content. And it's more for touring. Like we just, you know, we have the method. Tash is actually the best guitar player breathing alive right now. He just did an album with Slash from Guns N' Roses and it's been on the charts for a long time. And he's a master at what he does. My drummer Ali is a master at drumming. Pause. And Freeway is a master lyricist that represents a lot of what I represent based on what he's doing that I see with the curriculums and how he survived a lot of his personal losses. So that collective alone is a clinic to me in music and collective of putting blues, rock and roll, rap, all genres of music in one. And then we recorded it in a very, rock and roll, true to rock and roll way. And we captured it so people could see it. And we did it all in 5 days. We did all the music videos, all the interviews, 5 days. When assassins get together, black belts at what they do, it gets done quick, 250 miles an hour, but it looks slow. So, we actually distributed this one with a major. Distributed, not the major, but they distributed it. They don't help so much. But there are some accolades that we think we can get behind this just because it's music that no one's seen. Almost experimental, but it just seems true. So I think people should just listen to it. And I'm singing. I'm out my comfort zone and I'm very vulnerable. Like, if anything, you could like have a video of me singing and meme that up and laugh at it if it's bad. But if it's not bad, I would think the reason why people aren't talking about it is because it's so good. That's what I think. They know how good it is that they can't even call it bad because if people be like, oh, this is supposed to be bad and they see it, they'll be like, nah, I don't, this is good. So I was asking Londell, like, yo, y'all gonna write a story about the music? I just wrote a story about me getting took and we're friends and, we'll see. The Vibe actually did a story and didn't publish it. When Billboard doesn't, and you got direct emails with them, and they just gloss over it, it seems intentional. It seems like a collective narrative, but that could just be my PTSD. But I do want people to see how I've evolved as a businessman to being a creative. Did it independently, and did it with my crew. Still, to me, a Roc-A-Fella project. So if there hasn't been no Roc-A-Fella in 10 years and Dame Dash does a rock project with Freeway, how come nobody's celebrating the rebirth of Roc-A-Fella? It must not have been about Roc-A-Fella or there's a narrative. But we got a Roc-A-Fella record that I look like, and we did it the old fashioned way. Vinyl, the art, is hard. How could you not talk about this? I guess I'm more of a creative, man. And I wanted to explain something about my teeth because everybody wants to know. So 20 years ago, I got titanium implants. It cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was in my 20s. They're not supposed to break. 5 of them broke, snapped. So now they have to break bone in, pause my mouth, take the implants out, put new bone in there, and put 5 fucking implants in. And I'm gonna do it in September, but I just had a lot of work to do. And I didn't want to be that fucked up. I didn't know how I was gonna heal because I'm diabetic. But I'm gonna get it fixed now. And when I get my teeth right, then I'm gonna really get at everybody. So I think everybody should do what they gotta do now, say what they gotta say, because I'm focused on the race. And then when I get back 100%, it's really on. So we should be touring in September once everything heals up at the end of September, October. Do you realize that's me like on the hooks and like singing and I played
Oh, that's
instruments.
you?
Yeah, I played instruments on there. Like not really on that one, this other project I got, but I definitely on Recession Proof. I played that. What's the name of that bell? Come here, Nicolette. And Nicolette's on it too. She has her own solo albums as well, but she's a big part of the Black Guns. It's funny because, you know,
Hello.
it's like, to me, she's like if Aaliyah was white. If Aaliyah was white, she'd be a lesbian. That's her. And she has the same everything. It's like she has a little bit of rhythm and too. That's like kind of, but she could play instruments and she writes and sings. And she also did a lot of the administrative stuff with the album. So she helped build help me with my dream. And she earned her way into the band by working with the band because Freeway and them started to, respect her as an artist. And she laid vocals and she's just a part of the band now too. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So with that being said, man, before we head out, let the people know what you got popping, man.
American New. Um, in September, I think we're gonna hit them with a whole lot of new content. Another Dusko Goes to book. We got this album that's out right now. So you can order the vinyl. A whole new delivery of CEO. So we're making all the samples now in Vietnam. And these other things I'm not at liberty to talk about, but I will at some point. And also, the last thing I wanted to address was again with my daughter's television show. I started to see shit out there that said she got evicted. She never got evicted. It was funny. A situation happened where we had to, because we were having a problem with sending the money. She had the wrong code. She couldn't go bank to bank. She had to send it to Smoke Dizzle. I was proud of her. She sent 35,000, and I had to fly a bunch of money because it just kept not. It was just I don't like not having control of my money once it goes into a bank, and if you send it to somebody and they flag it, there's nothing you could do about it. So what we did was we looked at this new fintech company called Cashbox, and it's a company like Cash App, but you could send the money anonymous, and if you send it to the wrong person, you press a button and you get it back. So my solution for that problem was to just kind of find a new fintech company so I don't have to deal with that and I have more control of when we're moving the cash flow around. But it was funny to me that, they said she got evicted, but she didn't. I think, they had sent something, but it got paid. Just sometimes things beyond your control happen. But even though it got paid, it was still promoted a certain way. Again, as opposed to saying, look at how responsible and look at her on the TV show. They just wanted to push this narrative and even put it on my daughter. But even if I don't have a dollar, her mother, Rachel owns Rachel Roy 100%. I'm proud of that, you know? So if I ain't got it, her mother got it. You know what I mean? But she's doing it on her own. And I'm proud of that. I don't pay for my daughter's life. I'm supporting her and I'm advising her every second, supporting her as far as not financially, but anything I know, I'm going to tell her, and I'm proud of her. So big shout out to my daughter Ava Dash and everybody. Next gen. I don't know when this is coming out. I think the season will be over, but check it out on Peacock. Pause, and there should be another season. But I am proud of her. That's to me my wealth is how healthy and how my kids and my family are thriving. And I suggest that people that want to live that way check what I'm doing.